Imagine hacking your way through the jungle. The air is thick, it's wet, and for hours the only sound is the rhythmic slice of machetes. And then suddenly, silence.
Total silence, because you've just stepped into a clearing that shouldn't be there, and in the center of it, there's a rise in the earth, something unnatural.
It's just a hint of uneven stone, almost completely swallowed by moss, but then you see it, the glint of something man-made.
The exposed edge of weathered concrete. And on it, faint but unmistakable, a time-worn swastika.
This is a deep dive into an account of what was found beneath that stone. A story of a supposed secret Nazi complex, a closed society that descended into a nightmare.
And when they finally managed to wrench open the massive steel hatch, the structure, it groaned. The account says it didn't sound like straining metal. It sounded like something vast and ancient waking up.
And then came the smell.
Oh, yeah. The physical presence. Heavy artificial air rushing out. It was old machine oil, deep mold, rusted metal, and something else.
Something sweet and rotting.
Exactly. The kind of smell that tells you something organic is decomposed under immense pressure for a very, very long time.
So they go down. The ladder is slick with rust, and the air just gets heavier. You could feel it in your lungs. This place was not a temporary hideout.
No, not at all. This was built to last. Reinforced concrete everywhere. Yeah. You're immediately in what records called Sector 1, undercom quarters, and the rooms.
They were basically cells. Narrow, concrete, with damaged but clearly military-grade wiring running along the ceilings. This place was a fortress.
A fortress and a fully functioning colony. The signs of meticulous planning were everywhere, even in the decay. They found preserved food rations perfectly sealed.
And the labels on them were just chillingly specific.
Right, not just rations. It was Jane's on 3,000 calories, night watch. That level of precision of control over every single resource tells you everything.
It tells you this wasn't just about survival. This was about absolute management of a closed ecosystem.
It was a continuous state of emergency, managed down to the last calorie. And that idea was confirmed by what they found next. A scorched binder.
The manifest.
The manifest. And it lists 978 people. Men, women, and even children. But they weren't listed by military rank.
No, which is what you'd expect. Instead, they were listed by function.
Exactly. Nurses, engineers, mechanics, barbers. It's the blueprint for a self-sustaining society, one meant to endure and reproduce long after the war was over. This was a grand experiment.
But this is where the story turns. In a corner of that same level, they find the radio room.
And it wasn't just abandoned. It was violated.
Annihilated. Dials shattered, knobs twisted off. The wires and fuses weren't just cut, they were ripped out in these violent clumps.
Someone went to an incredible amount of effort to make sure that not only could no one transmit, but no one could receive anything either. They were deliberately deafened.
The isolation wasn't just geographic, it was mandatory. They were sealed in.
And the real reason why is found in the next discovery. Tucked away in an officer's chest was a journal.
The journal of an engineer, Eric Mara. And scrawled right under his name, this desperate little message. Know that we are not all willing.
And with that, the whole story starts to unravel. Mara's journal becomes our guide through the collapse. He says they arrived in May of 1945. Submarines, stolen aircraft.
The initial promise was salvation, a refuge for 1,000 people built to outlast the world.
But by June, the lie was already sitting in. The war was ending, or over. But the leaders inside insisted it was still raging. They needed the external threat to keep control.
Mara writes about children being born down there, children who had never seen the sun. They weren't citizens, they were subjects.
And by September of 1946, the facility's purpose officially shifts. It's no longer a refuge. It's a laboratory for something called Project Morgan Mch.
The man of tomorrow.
The man of tomorrow. And the research? It's monstrous. Radiation-laced fluids, experimental growth accelerants. And the key ingredient, as Mara notes, was derived from fungi found deep within the jungle.
They were creating the threat from within. He talks about people disappearing, right?
Yes. A chemical assistant named Dieta vanishes. A few nights later, Mara hears something in the ventilation shafts, a scream, he says, and then these heavy duds. The experiment was loose.
And then the breaking point, February 1947. A young technician, Rudolph, he manages to rig a civilian radio.
He tunes it to a station in Santiago, Chile. And what he hears isn't sirens and bombs. It's music, it's news, it's life.
The war had been over for almost 2 years.
And the leaders knew it. The entire colony was built on a functional lie to keep the project running. When the truth got out, the leaders couldn't have it.
Panic. Arrests. Rudolph is dragged away. Mara himself is beaten. Another man is taken to Sector 3, the research wing, and is never seen again.
The refuge had officially become a prison.
But the prison walls wouldn't hold. October 23, 1947. Mara writes that the sickness is starting to spread.
A sickness from a containment breach in Sector 3. He describes people's flesh turning. Soft, spongy, their minds warping.
And then comes the most grotesque detail. In the communal hall, they open crates of what they think are supplies. They find these warm clinical packages, processed protein units.
They were eating the failed experiments, repurposed. They were consuming the very thing that was destroying them.
The system was literally devouring itself.
And Mara's last entry, November 9th, is just a few panicked lines about trying to get to an auxiliary hatch. This is where he sees it, a failed subject.
A man he knew, Fisher.
He describes him as having melted, sagging skin, a jaw that was just unhinged. It moved with this impossible speed and strength. Mara just manages to seal the hatch, leaving the journal behind. The vital message in a bottle.
But the Discovery team, they keep going deeper into the lower levels where the real fight happened.
And the evidence of that fight is everywhere. The concrete walls are warped, bulging outwards. There are bullet holes clustered near doorways in corners. This wasn't a sickness that just took people.
They fought back. It was a war down there.
And that's when they hear it. A sound. A wet, strained breathing. Like ruined lungs trying to push air through fluid.
A shape emerges from the darkness, towering, its limbs bent at angles that just aren't human, and it's oozing this black fluid from its swollen joints.
The thing turns toward them, into the beam of their flashlight. And that's when they see it, fused to the tattered remains of its uniform. It's a name tag.
Faded, but legible. The man who wrote the journal. The project had consumed its own chronicler.
The escape is just chaos. One of the teen, Jonas, is grabbed by an arm that whips out from a corridor. He's just gone.
The narrator scrambles back to the main hatch they came through, but the wheel won't turn. It's been sealed.
Sealed from the outside. Their colleague, Lewis, had panicked and trapped them inside.
And in that moment, trapped in a tiny crawl space, he hears the creature arrive at the other side of the hatch. But it doesn't roar. It doesn't scream.
No. It makes a sound. An attempt at words. A strained, fragmented phrase. Hey, mine. Calm.
A flicker of the man still inside. Just a ghost of muscle memory.
Eventually, Lewis comes back. The narrator is rescued. And the authorities move in. Local, federal, and some people in clean uniforms with no names. The site is locked down.
Weeks later, the final report comes back through Lewis, and it's the most chilling part of the entire story.
They found the bunker, they found the journal, they confirmed all the physical evidence. But
hey, buddies.
No people.
No creatures. The entire population of 978 people and whatever they became had simply vanished.
This deep dive, it shows you how isolation and ideology can curdle into something truly monstrous. The silence they enforced wasn't for safety, it was for control. Control until the experiment broke loose.
So you have to ask yourself, what became of them? Did the Man of Tomorrow project actually succeed? Did it create something that could not only survive but escape?
When Mara called them failures, was he right? Or was he just seeing the grotesque first steps of something new? The story is one of containment that didn't just fail, it vanished.
Leaving a horrifying unknown out there. If the manifest listed 978 souls and not one of them was found, you have to wonder what they evolved into and where they went.